Hello, welcome to this closing ceremony of Ruhaniyat-e Am second edition. This year, we were celebrating Ruhaniyat-e Am for a full 2 months, from January 2nd to today, 27th of February. Each Saturday, we had our sessions, and we had wonderful sessions with the artists and musicians from all over the world, from Greece, from Egypt, from Iran, from Czech Republic, and from so many places, and of course from Bangladesh and from India also. So we had wonderful interactions with our friends, our artist friends, our filmmaker friends, our musician friends. We had wonderful session with one full ensemble on folklore from Iran. So we had so many different experiences all together. And today, in the closing session, we have with us in the first session for today, Mesbah Kamal. He is one scholar in history and professor in Dhaka University. And I'd like to just thank him on our behalf, on Indas's behalf. I'm Somali from Indas, and with me, MF Hussain from Dhaka, Bangladesh, and also a member of Indas. So I just wish to thank you, sir, and welcome to this show. And I just wish to tell you that we are really eager to listen from you, the background or the other stories relating to human migration and so on. So over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Shomali. Also very nice to see Farid here beside you. Yeah. And I would also like to thank Indas for organizing this program, which you have entitled as Festival of Migrating Music.
Yes,
Very
sir.
fascinating title indeed. And of course, it's linked to the central theme of human migration. And migration is something which has no dates actually. It predates our known history. So this has been a part of human life always, particularly in the in the prehistoric times or in the Paleolithic age, when human beings were, food gatherers, and we are going through the hunting and shooting stage. Then, for search of the food, people would have to move from one place to another, because the place where they would perhaps reside for some time, that wouldn't be able to, that place wouldn't be able to, supply the necessary food for a long time. As soon as that place, food supply evaporated, then people had to move. And so this, the earliest part of our history, or rather prehistory, is a period of movement, of migration from one place to another. So from then on, of course, at a subsequent stage, in the Neolithic age, people became settled with the introduction of agriculture, and gradually, we got initially the village-based civilizations, and subsequently, with affluence growing and surplus generating in the villages, then um, gradually we saw the emergence of urban life, or rather a rise of towns. So that's roughly the history. Perhaps all of you know about it. So that's not a big issue, but it is indeed very interesting that you are looking at the migration, human migration, and of course, with the human being, the culture migrates.
Yes.
Of course, the culture migrates. And music being one of the key elements of all cultures, be ancient or modern. Um, the music also migrates. So this is very interesting. You are trying to, or you have been organizing this festival of migrating music. But as a historian, I can say that you have embarked into a very difficult terrain, because tracing the migrating music is not a very easy task. Yeah. But the linkages, or rather reflections
Yes.
of various musical forms and the tune itself, যাকে আমরা বাংলায় বলি সুর,
Yes.
সেই সুরের যে reflection at various parts of the world, and even the lifestyle, and everywhere when people became agriculturists, uh, they had similar kind of uh, civilizations centered, or rather based, by the side of the river, by the bank of the rivers, because rivers have been the, pathways of travel, not only of human travel, but also, you know, the waterways have been the main form of transportation of goods, and um, or the means of carrying out the businesses, reaching out to other peoples, other cultures, other civilizations. But so people used to, or rather, all of the major habitations have been beside the riverbeds or rivers. So, but that too was not. I mean, even when people settled down, people had to move for various reasons. For various reasons, sometimes the lack of enough food supply, sometimes war, sometimes the search for a better life, sometimes acculturation, and many other factors led to people's migration from one place to another. So and along with that, the music migrated, and you also have a very interesting focal theme, reconstructing Silk Route.
Yes.
I don't know how you are connecting all those together. Yeah, of course, these are of course interconnected, because Silk Route have been one of the largest business routes uh, of all times. Yeah,
Yes.
uh, particularly from the ancient times, and you know, from China to Europe. Yeah, it's a huge um, um, path. It's a very long path, and and there has been attempt in recent past, relatively recent past, to reconstruct the Silk Route through other means, by establishing the road connectivity. Yeah, from Kunming to Kolkata was one of the partially efforts that was made following Silk Route from Kunming across China. The plan is to reach Myanmar, and then through Bangladesh, you reach Kolkata. But that's not the end. That's one part of the journey. Then you go beyond. And even there has been, there has been talks and efforts, or rather a mega plan of connecting all these routes through train as well, so that you can travel from China to Europe by train. Yeah. So, these are, taking the route from history, the diplomacy of the 21st century is connecting the people along the Silk routes and connecting Asia with Europe. Of course, the air route is there, but all possible avenues of linkages are being explored. And well, history connects people. So does culture, so does music. And you are trying to trace all those. Very interesting indeed. And maybe if you have something else to ask, instead of making it a monologue, we can have some dialogue. You can ask some questions. I don't know what format you have thought of.
Yes, sir. What we actually intended by reconstructing Silk Route was, Ruhaniyat-e Am actually we started in 2019. And in 2020, we couldn't do anything as because we had to just keep inside. So that's why we couldn't do anything in physical. So while we were confined in homes, in our own places, almost the whole world was that way, was closing down. So the thing is, we thought that music, what we intend to do is that with human migration, music also migrated, their notes, their musical notes also migrated. So that way, during this modern time, we are trying to reach out to those, long past where we can connect with our ancestors that way through music. How we can touch my brother or sister in some distant land through music. So that was the intention for making migrating music. But the thing is, when we were confined during the this COVID-19 period, the whole world was confined that way. Then we thought of making things other way. Then we tried that if music migrated with human beings, so let now music connect us while people are not being able to migrate or move out and from home, their home also. So that way we thought that if we could connect through music with our friends or with our fellow thinkers, so we can do that. So that way we tried to make it happen. So we thought that we can also start Ruhaniyat-e Am this time. Just to Ruhaniyat-e Am, actually we started on physical stage here in 2019, where we had trains from Iran, from Spain, from Rajasthan, so from Bangladesh also. So we thought that this time we'll be connecting with more friends from more countries. So just to make it happen that we are not feeling depressed, we are yet connected, and we are making our bonding yet more stronger. So that way we started this time reconstructing Silk Route, and what we believe I personally started this my own searches. I should not specify it as research, as because I have not registered my subject anywhere, because I wanted to search it all throughout my journey, whatever small it is, however small it is, to my music. So I wanted to just search if we can really connect to music. So I started from Greece, and from there with Alexander, pure Hellenic culture came here, and it became Hellenistic, and all this synthesis took place along this area of Silk Road. So many mystical forms, so many mystical religions, so many synthesis and all. So I tried to search for that in my search for music. So this time we started searching for our friends also virtually, if we can connect to our music really. So we had musicians from Greece, we had musicians from Egypt, we had musicians from Iran, and of course from Bangladesh, and of course from here also, from Rajasthan also. So that way we just reached to make our bonding stronger, or find our neighbors in more different ways. That's it, sir. So
Right.
uh,
When
yeah,
when you talk about Silk Road, yeah, it is
yes,
actually connecting civilizations
yes,
and connecting not only one or two civilizations, it's a number of civilizations. Yeah. So, and some of them you have mentioned already, but say Chinese civilization is itself a huge matter. Then Indian civilization, of course, it has its regional variations, but it is a huge matter. Then on the way, you have many others, and when you reach, um, say, when you reach um, Europe, then again there are, well, in general, you can call it European civilization, but there are multiple variations within that too.
yes,
So, but so it's connecting civilizations, and of course, culture connects civilizations, and trade connects. So, trade routes uh, was not only means of trade; it was also means of cultural connections, and that's why when you are celebrating music, and particularly migrating music, you are actually binding uh, the East and the West together. Yeah. প্রাচ্য এবং প্রতীচ্যকে একসাথে বাঁধা
yes, sir.
is a huge matter. So that's a very interesting way of looking at things. And it is good that, the latest Chinese export called Corona, it has given us, uh, or rather has actually, um, introduced using this kind of, Zoom links and others through which we can now connect across boundaries more easily. Yeah.
Yes,
And as you were saying a while ago, that in your program this week, you had participation uh, from Iran,
yes, sir.
which represents the Persian civilization. And you
Yes,
mentioned about Greece, you mentioned about Hellenic and Hellenistic civilizations and cultures. So, and you are in Kolkata and I am in Dhaka. There are friends from elsewhere. So, we are connected through the Zoom, and even, not only our knowledge, not only our experience, even, the music that I may have, not may have, I have missed your presentations in previous programs, but that has also crossed all kinds of boundaries through the Zoom links, and it is connecting world. Very interesting. But I would also like to. It's very interesting, and thank you very much for organizing this. I would also like to focus on on another part of the matter that I want to emphasize on. That is ethnicity. You every people um, people um, has their own culture and maybe own forms of music. So you know, and particularly our Indian subcontinent is a ethnicity museum. Of course, all worlds, any part of the world has ethnic diversity, but in some areas it is more prominent. In some areas, it is not so prominent, and there are some ethnic groups which are huge in their numbers. But still, when I look at Bangladesh or Bengal, undivided Bengal, and when I look at, Bengal also included Assam at a not so long ago time, and also Bihar and Odisha. So the undivided Bengal. Just look at the ethnic mix uh, in Assam, which now has 7 sisters plus Sikkim, Bangladesh. It has Chittagong hill tracts, the hub of the indigenous peoples. But there are indigenous people in the plainland, and also, of course, West Bengal. Yeah, um, it has very rich ethnic mix. And you go beyond to Odisha and to Jharkhand and to Bihar and beyond. The ethnic diversity is huge, and all of them has their own traditions of culture, traditions of music. So, you know, if you really want to go into the deeper part of it, into a discussion, then we have to understand the diversity and recognize diversity. Of
Yes.
course, the purpose of music is to bring people together. The, but it is also a fact that the cultural differences has been the cause of lots of conflicts in the past. Yeah, but again, some of the elements, parts, particularly music has its own language and it transcends all borders. You may not know the language, but the rhythm of the music binds you together, make you feel good, you understand. And music has its own language. So it transcends all ethnic boundaries. However, what I wanted to say is this, you know, when uh, we think about unity, the essential condition of unity is actually recognition of diversity. If we don't recognize the diversity, if we don't accept diversity, and if we want to, if we don't want to recognize diversity and plurality, it will simply mean that the majoritarian rule would be established. There will be questions of dominant cultures, and the dominant cultures would tend to dominate other cultures, and um, and that would jeopardize the relationship and may at best create some kind of subculture, but that won't create satisfaction for any side.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to mean is this: we must understand the diversity that exists in the world, the ethnic diversity, the cultural diversity, religious diversity, the linguistic diversity, and we must also recognize the importance of recognizing this diversity. Unless we recognize this, there won't be any space created for accommodation and recognition and accommodation. And
Yes.
unless that space is created, the very purpose of the musical journey won't be achieved. By, by the purpose, I mean bringing people together, bringing harmony, social harmony.
Exactly. Exactly.
And this social harmony won't be achieved. Social, political harmony won't be achieved. So the purpose of music is actually, to me, it is peace. Peace between peoples, nations, ethnicities, languages,
Yes.
uh, all kinds of groups, communities. So these are realities of life that exist.
Exactly.
Let us all recognize it, accept the difference, and let us
Ex-
accommodate each other. This is how I
Exactly.
look at it.
Exactly, sir. You have just rightly pointed out this thing, and I just wish to welcome the friends we can see now. Mustafa Ahmadiji has joined from Iran. I
Oh,
guess
hello.
thank you so much for joining. And the thing is, our next project, sir, perhaps I was discussing